the bottom line. You want a war? You're going to get one.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.
And the schedule for the UFL upcoming 2025 season has been released. And so the Bottom Line crew had to go live to talk about this rather big deal. Wouldn't you say, Brett?
Man, I am in my work truck. I'm taking my lunch. The fat boy hadn't even ate today just to bring this news to you guys. I had to run in and change my work clothes.
So we have got the upcoming schedule for all 8 teams, and we'll be hitting on them all. Let's talk about the very first game that is kicking off the 2025 season. It has been awarded to none other than the Houston Roughnecks, who will be hosting the St. Louis Battlehawks in week 1 to kick off the new season. And you were saying, Brett, that you had thought that there was a reason why Houston was awarded the first game of the season?
Yeah, they're back finally at their old home, TDECU Stadium. It's a primetime, Friday night game against the Battlehawks. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I know they're excited to finally get back home. They did some expansion work there where the Cougars play, but they're back. So that's what we've got for Friday night. Looks like we've got a Friday night game every week this year. I hadn't even really had time to go through the whole schedule, but that's the opening game Friday night.
It sounds like there was a chance that St. Louis was unable to host an opening week home game, and the same goes for Birmingham.
Right.
Then, of course, DC, I think, has limitations to where they have to have afternoon games, so they weren't available for the opening Friday. So it looks like Big Rig gets to lead the charge in week 1 on Friday night. The Houston Roughnecks will be hosting the St. Louis Battlehawks to kick off the 2025 season.
I can't wait. Camp starts, the end of January? End of February.
Yeah.
We should have a draft coming up. I don't think it's been released yet, but I think we've got a draft coming up in a couple weeks, a few weeks.
One of the, and Russell, thanks for joining us. One thing I wanted to bring up, just like you, I'm looking at these schedules pretty quick since they've come out. But let's talk a little bit about the St. Louis Battlehawks home schedule. As you remember, San Antonio, their facility is hosting the Final Four of the NCAA men's tournament. So San Antonio was forced to forfeit one of their home games this year. That home game was given to St. Louis. So in St. Louis's schedule for 2025, two of the San Antonio games are going to both be hosted in St. Louis. So when you talk about the mother loads of home schedules, let's look at what St. Louis's home schedule looks like for 2025. Week 2, they're hosting San Antonio. Week 3, they're hosting DC. Then they go to Arlington. They come back to host Michigan. And then they host Arlington again. So, that's the first 4 of their 6. Well, then in week 8 and 9, they host Birmingham. And then they host San Antonio again. So you're looking at a 6-game home schedule that basically is going to be playoff football. Each and every home game is a playoff football game. So
the schedule's loaded. There's going to be some big crowds in St. Louis in the Dome. Keep in mind, they've just installed the new turf there that looks fantastic. The company that installed that, I've actually got a buddy that works there. I can't really divulge any other stuff other than that is the best turf on the market. And then, of course, they've got the new LED lights there in the Dome. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere this year in St. Louis. Some big, big games. Biggest games of the league, for the most part, is going down in St. Louis this season.
I got to believe in that opening Friday night of the season, in Houston. I'm sure Rig Rocker, Big Rig, as I call him, and the Predator couple, plenty of faces of the league as far as super fans go, that I'm sure that game's going to be hyped up like crazy. So then the following week when San Antonio plays St. Louis here in St. Louis, I got to think that very familiar track between San Antonio and St. Louis is going to be relived, as all the Brahma fans, you gotta feel for San Antonio. Bringing up San Antonio's schedule, they're not going to get a home game until week 5.
Yep.
That's tough. They are on. Let's talk about San Antonio's schedule to start off. They start off at Arlington in week 1. Then they go to St. Louis, followed by to Michigan, followed by to DC.
Yeah.
That when you talk about a killer road schedule, it's bad enough that they have to be on the road for the first 4 weeks, but they were not given any favors whatsoever with who they were being pitted against. So
then they go. They go. They get Houston at home for the first home game, and then they turn around the following week and have to go to Birmingham to Protective Stadium.
And then, once they get done with Birmingham, they return home in week 7 for DC. So I tell you what, if San Antonio has another successful season like they had last year, if they're able to pull it off again this year, it's going to be hats off to those guys, because they're going to have to earn it. They're definitely
Well, if San Antonio makes it to the playoffs this year again, Ed, just go ahead and give Wade Phillips the Coach of the Year award. Just plain and simple.
Yeah, it is a killer schedule. You look at let's pull up Michigan's schedule.
And think in mind the 2 defending playoff teams from the USFL conference is Birmingham and Michigan. They've reloaded their rosters for the most part. Michigan, in my opinion, has improved their roster, and they go to both those venues. It's their year to play Michigan and Birmingham on the road, because Michigan and Birmingham went to San Antonio last season. So Tough
Yeah,
schedule.
it must be something with Michigan and Ford Field as far as availability of Ford Field, because last year I believe Michigan started the season off with 3 straight home games, I believe it
Yep.
was.
Yep.
This year, 3 out of their first 4 at home, and 4 of their first 6 are at home before they go on the road to basically end the season. So it's going to be important to Michigan to get off to a fast start. They
Yep.
play Memphis in the first 4 weeks. They play Memphis twice, and then that's sandwiched between Birmingham and San Antonio in the middle. So if Michigan's able to get off to a fast start, just like last year with all those home games, they've got a bright season look ahead of them as well.
Right. Right. Man, some tough scheduling, which you've always got to plan things around. The openings for the venues. Protective. Or I had someone calling me about the schedule.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm sure your phone's lighting up.
yeah, it's lighting up. And keep in mind, folks, we like to be a little bit more knowledgeable before we hit the screen and do one of these shows. But me and Ed had talked about this yesterday. We wanted to pop in and do this, and we didn't have 30 minutes to even look at the schedule. And while I was trying to look at the schedule and send Ed things to load, my phone was absolutely blowing up from fans all over, Michigan fans, Birmingham, Memphis. So we're doing the best we can today.
Well, Todd had to give you a little crap about your jersey you're wearing. He's assuming you're going for the Irish today.
Now, Todd, my favorite team, mine and my wife's favorite team, and everybody knows, or a lot of folks know, she's no longer with us. When the XFL 2020 came out, everybody was so pumped. They did such a great job with marketing that, we didn't have a local team here in Alabama anywhere near us. So me and my wife put the names in a cup, in an XFL cup I had ordered. And on a live video, we drew out what team we were going to pull for. I pulled Tampa, and I put them all back in there, reshuffled them. My wife reached her hand in there, and she pulled out Tampa. And I'm like, well, that's a sign. So, we got Tampa Bay 2020 Vipers jerseys. Personally, I love the uniforms, a little bit of the loud color. But, and yes, Todd, I am going for Notre Dame. Go Irish. You can't go for a team where you got a bunch of grown adults barking like freaking dogs. No.
So
Notre Dame by 50, Todd. Notre Dame by 50.
let's get back to the schedule here. Let's pull out Memphis's schedule, because one thing that I noticed on their schedule that's I guess really tough if you're a tailgater lover. You look at their home games. They start off week 1 against Michigan at home, but it's an 11 a.m. start. Um, they
But that is early in the year where the weather should be pretty decent.
Yeah, they've got they've got a week 3, week 7, week 9 and 10 home game, but it looks like none of their start times are any later than 2 p.m. So if they're we're making our track to Memphis this year. Uh, I know that the St. Louis Battlehawks play the Memphis Showboats on Mother's Day. So I told my significant other, Mama Bear, that she was going to have to think out of the box this year and realize that Mother's Day can be special in Memphis too. So we're spending the
Yeah, and
weekend
I
in
was
Memphis right
hoping to
now.
meet you guys there, but I don't know what kind of trouble I'll get into driving from Tuscaloosa to Memphis on Mother's Day.
Well, Memphis has got no joke of a starting schedule too. I think one thing you find in the USF or the UFL is there's plenty of quality teams in there, and you're looking at Memphis in their first 5 games. They're playing Michigan twice, DC, and Birmingham. So if Memphis isn't ready to go on week 1, they could be put behind the 8 ball before they even get a chance to start. So hopefully, their new coach Wisenhunt gets those guys going and gets that roster built up a little bit so that they're ready to make a serious run against. I got to believe Birmingham and Michigan as being the front runners of the USFL again this year.
And Memphis finishes the season at home against Birmingham. What is that start time, Ed? I can't read that.
Start time that final week of the season is 2:00.
And what day of the what date is that?
That is June 1st.
June 1st in Memphis at 2 p.m. Might be a little warm up there.
Yeah, then the week before that they play another home game against Arlington, and that one is at 11:00 in the morning. So that's another midday game that'll be late in the season.
I can't read it, and I know I've sent them to you, but what's the they don't have a Friday night game in Memphis, do they?
They do not. It looks to me like all of Memphis's games are early either Saturday, Sunday games.
You got Birmingham schedule handy?
They have Memphis does play a Friday night game, however. They play at San Antonio in week 8 on a Friday night. And then they have another Friday night game, it looks like, in week 5 against Birmingham. So they got some Friday night games, but none of them will be at home in Memphis. So,
well,
you want the Birmingham schedule?
Yeah, if they're scheduling around the weather, I mean, the San Antonio game, it wouldn't have mattered when they played it because it was it's a dome. But that's neither here nor there.
The latest game for Birmingham is May 24th. That's week 9. They play an afternoon game at 2:00.
Yep. That'll be a nice 90 to 100 degree day. Maybe not. I believe they do have, because I scanned it over and my phone was blowing up. And actually, I had a Birmingham fan call me since we've done started the show. I think we've got 2 Friday night games in Birmingham, don't we?
Yes, you have a Friday night game in week 2.
Week 3.
Let me get my phone up here.
Wait, hold on. I'm talking about the home games or the gold color.
Right. You have April 11th is a Friday. On week 3, you're playing at home on a Friday night versus Arlington.
All right.
Then in week 5,
yep.
April 25th is another Friday night. So you do have 2 Friday night home games.
I think Memphis had a big charter that they were going to bring down for the Birmingham game this season. They were looking at 30 or 40 fans at least coming with them down, which would have been fantastic. I don't know how that's going to work out with it being a Friday night, but
you're probably wishing those 2 Friday night games would have been late in the season versus earlier in the season, huh?
I mean, you know, like I mentioned when I spoke with Moose at the Fan Fest in November, you know, it's and Moose is very aware because he was the operations manager with the USFL the first 2 years. I don't know if Fox or who is not aware, but in May and June in Birmingham, Memphis, Arlington, and Houston, it's rather hot. So moving forward, they might look at if they're going, you know, the later games in the season in those 4 locations, possibly making those night games. But that's just a suggestion.
I think I had already pulled up San Antonio's schedule.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the show, but just for those of you that joined a little later, just wanted to pop that up again because that is, again, that's a killer schedule through no fault of their own. They have one of their home games taken away from them, but they start the season on the road at Arlington, at St. Louis, at Michigan, and at DC. And then they have one home game and they're back on the road at Birmingham and then back at home against DC. So kudos to San Antonio, man. You're going to earn it this year. That is for sure.
Yep.
Jared, you're exactly right. This year, we are making the track to Memphis. We're spending Mother's Day, and we probably will be going to Graceland. I'm sure you can't go to Memphis and not do that. So
And y'all need to walk the ducks or whatever. Y'all need to stay at the Peabody
I've
in
done
Memphis.
that.
Oh,
I was a few Bloody Marys in before I ever walked the ducks.
So you and Mama Bear is gonna be walking in Memphis, huh?
That's right. So who do we need to go over yet? We
went over Michigan.
Did we
Hey,
discuss?
let's touch on Arlington, the one-time defending XFL champions. It didn't go great for them last season. They finished the year strong. They just kept losing the one possession games. They were so close, so many games.
So once again, the King of Spring record goes back to 0-0.
And obviously, the King of Spring is back, Ed. Otherwise, why would he be on that schedule?
Would they have used him on their official schedule if he was not coming back?
No. And they had the showcase down in Dallas a couple months ago, remember? And I was very keen on the fact that Luis Perez was one of the main guys running that showcase, which led me to believe then that, hey, he's staying. He's coming back for another season.
One comment I got to make is that, call me an XFL homer, but the XFL division is loaded for teams. So when you look at the teams in the XFL division, and then you couple Birmingham and Michigan into the mix here, look at Arlington's schedule starting week 3. They have a tough opening game against San Antonio for sure, but week 3 they play at Birmingham, followed at home with St. Louis, DC, on the road back to St. Louis, at home against Michigan, on the road to DC. Birmingham, St. Louis, DC, St. Louis, Michigan, DC. 6 consecutive games against caliber teams that have the rosters that can win the whole thing. So, the XFL schedules, you can go from team to team to team in the XFL. Their schedule is loaded.
Man, it's going to be tough. You might have a couple teams make the playoffs this year with 500 records. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Need to mention too, if for you guys that did not know, Zachary Potter, our GM, we call him Skip Holtz. Even calls him. I got tickled because Zach's a kid. He's a young guy, and Skip Holtz refers to him as Moneyball. If you guys have ever seen the kind of the true story of Moneyball and the Oakland A's and Billy Bean, well, Zachary Potter is our Moneyball, and he just got a GM job with Sacramento State. They're doing a lot of things out there, and was very intelligent by hiring Potter because he is fantastic with player personnel in Birmingham. Obviously, we're 3-time defending champions. So shout out to Zach. I know that he's followed us and knows what we do on this show. So congratulations, bro. We're definitely gonna miss you in Birmingham, and good luck out west.
So Brett, it does look like this is going to be a big matchup. DC, looking at DC schedule, week 10 in the final week of the season. DC does host a Friday night game, 8:00 against St. Louis Battlehawk.
Wow, that's going to be awesome.
That game might be for some playoff. Those definitely have playoff implications, I would think.
Yeah, that's a heck of a game there.
Yeah.
To finish the season, week 10, Friday night game, prime time. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Their opening week is again at home against Birmingham. That's a big game for both teams.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Birmingham starts on the road, 2 straight weeks. That's going to be tough. You don't want to go back home 0-2, that's for sure.
So I see we got Big Rig on here. So, like I said earlier in the show, Big Rig, just know that you guys are kicking off. You guys are kicking off the 2025 season at home in your stadium against the St. Louis Battlehawks. So I gotta think after watching some of your posts yesterday, eating that duck that you was enjoying so well after the game was over. I can think leading up to this game in week 1 that you probably got a few ideas in store for the St. Louis Battlehawks coming to town.
And I got a feeling St. Louis will travel. They traveled pretty well to Birmingham. There was every bit of 200-300 Battlehawk fans in Birmingham for AJ's homecoming last season.
Yeah, I might have to find out if Big Rig's got a spare bedroom in his.
You'll be down in Houston squawking, huh? And strutting. Squawking and strutting. Huh.
So what's Eric got to say? Remember, boys, don't look past anyone. We picked Memphis real high last year, and that didn't work out. Don't count out the Roughnecks. So, Big Greg, see, you have a firmly in your corner there. Oh, Battle Chicken.
I got a feeling Big Rig's probably gonna have some fried chicken for the tailgate.
We'll say that Battle Chicken doesn't sound like that could be cheap. I'm sure that's going to cost him pretty good money for that. Although it looks like he knows what he's doing down there, so I'm sure even Battle Chicken's going to taste pretty good. So let's pull this schedule down. Let's put up the overall. Schedule and see if there's any final thoughts. We know everybody's interested in the 3:00 game coming up between Georgia and Notre Dame. So here's the overall schedule for all teams. So again, it was a pleasant surprise that Houston was given the opening Friday night, but I'm all for it. Let's see what happens, huh?
That's a nice, perfect size stadium for spring football. And again, they were there in 2020. Was there for XFL 2022 or 2023? Heck, I can't keep up now. We've intermingled the leagues and merged the leagues. But it was tough on Houston and a lot of their fans at Rice Stadium last year. That's an old relic, and I'm really excited. I know the Houston fans are real excited to be back at TDECU Stadium, and now I believe it's been renovated. So that's going to be pretty exciting. And again, guys, if y'all don't have a copy of this schedule, someone sent this to me, and I've posted it on the bottom line and in the UFL groups that we're members of. You can pull it right off our page and use this full schedule if you'd like.
So, Brett, having said that, you have anything else? Like I said, we got our adult beverages in place, and we've got those wings sitting out there on a plate that we're about ready to get settled in for another college football playoff game.
Yep, it's going to be an exciting season. We're down to 80-something days to kick off, 86 or something like that. We'll come out with our power rankings. I'm sure all of ours will vary, but I'll throw some up on the page in a week or two. There's still some roster spots open for each team. I think there's going to be a draft in January. So, again, camp, I think, starts the end of February. So we're getting there.
And you can, just a reminder that we're on our holiday schedule yet. So the bottom line will be on at 10 a.m. on Saturday. And I'm sure we'll have much more to talk about with, concerning the UFL. But we'll have our show Saturday morning, 10 a.m. And then we'll go back to our normal Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. Can't wait for another UFL season. It's going to be great for sure.
They anticipate the attendance to be up. They anticipate the viewership to even be up compared to last year. It's just growing. And it's growing on all the social media platforms. It's exciting. Everybody, hey, it's America. This is America's game now. It's football. It's not even close.
So with that said, thanks for joining us. We will see you again Saturday morning on the bottom line. And again, if it's NFL, college, UFL, the upcoming IFA, the bottom line, you'll hear things first. See you on Saturday.
And that's the bottom line.